Rather than silencing the terror, Ron's death seemed to catalyze it. The letters, which had once targeted a single family, began to find their way into the mailboxes of dozens of other residents, public officials, and businesses. How did an anonymous threat, once confined to a private domestic dispute, suddenly expand to hold an entire community hostage? Between the late 1970s and the early 1980s, the anonymous campaign expanded from a targeted grievance against the Gillespies into a broad disruption of the Circleville community. No longer confined to a single family, these mailings began arriving in the mailboxes of school board members, local business owners, county officials, and ordinary residents who seemingly had no connection to the original dispute. Many accounts of the Circleville Letters claim that the writer sent more than 1,000 letters over nearly 2 decades. However, this massive volume remains an unverified figure, as no complete public ledger or official catalog of every single letter exists. What is documented is a network of dozens of distinct recipients, each swept into a growing web of public accusations and private terror. The mailings shared highly specific physical characteristics that investigators struggled to piece together. Most arrived in envelopes lacking any return address, consistently postmarked from Columbus, Ohio, roughly 30 miles north of Circleville. But a Columbus postmark only establishes where a letter entered the postal stream. It does not prove the author lived or worked in that city. Then there was the handwriting itself. The author favored stark, rigid block capitals, a style designed to mask individual writing characteristics. While this uniform block letter style linked the correspondence visually, forensic document examiners caution that a shared writing style is not a definitive forensic identification. It suggests a singular intent, but it cannot legally pin authorship to one specific hand. What truly paralyzed the town was the content. The writer did not just level unverified allegations of embezzlement, domestic abuse, and sexual misconduct. They backed these claims with precise details of their targets' private routines. The letters mentioned what time children got home from school, when residents left their houses, and where they went on weekends. This level of surveillance suggested the writer was not a distant observer in Columbus, but a local insider hiding in plain sight, watching the very streets of Circleville. On a rural road in Pickaway County, the anonymous campaign materialized into a physical weapon. Accounts of the date differ, pointing to either February 7th or February 13th, 1983. Mary Gillespie was driving her school bus route along 5 Points Pike when she spotted an obscene handmade sign. The writing targeted her 13-year-old daughter. Gillespie stopped the bus, stepped out, and pulled the sign down. Beneath the cardboard lay a wooden box rigged with twine. Inside, investigators found a loaded .38 caliber handgun, configured to fire if the box was moved. The trigger mechanism had been set, but the device failed to discharge. When police dismantled the setup, they recovered a weapon with a partially filed-off serial number. Using chemical agents, examiners restored the numbers, tracing the gun to Mary's brother-in-law, Paul Freshour. Yet, the physical evidence was far from straightforward. Investigators found no fingerprints on the firearm, the twine, or the box. The prosecution's case, which went to trial on October 24, 1983, relied on circumstantial connections. To link Freshour to the device, the state pointed to the container, an industrial-grade chalk box common at the Anheuser-Busch plant where Freshour worked. Prosecutors also noted that Freshour had taken a day off from his highway construction job on the day the trap was discovered. The state's most contentious evidence was a handwriting analysis. An expert testified that Freshour's writing matched both the letters and the script on the roadside sign. The defense vigorously contested this, arguing that the comparison was flawed because examiners had forced Freshour to copy the letters during testing, which unnaturally inflated the similarities. They argued that the real writer could have easily imitated Freshour's block style to frame him. Fresh Hour also maintained that the gun had been stolen from his garage weeks before the incident, a claim that was never disproven. His defense argued there was no direct evidence placing him at 5 Points Pike, and co-workers supported his whereabouts on the night the trap was believed to have been set. Though the jury convicted Fresh Hour of attempted murder, he was never convicted of writing the Circleville Letters. While the legal system linked the weapon to Fresh Hour, the prosecution lacked direct proof showing he placed the trap, and he was never convicted of writing the letters themselves. The conviction answered a specific charge of attempted murder, but it left the identity behind the Circleville Letters booby trap unresolved. When the doors of the Ohio Correctional Facility closed behind Paul Fresh Hour, investigators expected the mailbox of Circleville to fall silent. Instead, the threatening mail kept arriving. These incarceration-era mailings targeted local residents with the same block-print handwriting, mocking the conviction and proving that locking up a single suspect had not stopped the letters. The most documented piece of post-conviction correspondence surfaced in December 1993. The production office of the television show Unsolved Mysteries received a postcard warning them to stop their investigation, signed by the Circleville writer. This postcard bore a Columbus postmark, even though Fresh Hour was housed inside a prison in Lima, Ohio, more than 100 miles away. The warden eventually placed Fresh Hour in solitary confinement, a highly restrictive setting where access to pens, paper, and mailing privileges was strictly controlled. Even under these conditions, the mail did not stop.